Good morning, good morning. I think we're live, but I'll do another couple of good morning, good morning, good mornings just in case. And I think we are now live. So good morning, everybody. Now, you may think that you see someone sitting next to me, but if you do think that, you might be wrong. This could be an apparition. For those of you who see this, maybe you've become a little more attuned. Maybe you've become a little more sensitive. You can see the kind of fun we're going to have today, can't you, everybody? So, before I talk more about this apparition that you might or might not see sitting next to me on the sofa, because you never know, who's sitting with you on the sofa. Whether you're on your own or whether you've got guests or whatever, you never know who else is going to join you. And I'm being very serious when I say that. Before we even begin that, first of all, I'd like to say good morning. It is May the 14th. We are getting closer and closer and closer to May the 19th. All of you May babies out there, all of you May babies with birthdays out there, happy birthday to you all. Before we begin, I'd like to say, first of all, good morning to my spirit guide, Gregel, who is standing actually between myself and the
apparition.
Shush, you're not allowed to talk.
I was going to say, apparitions can talk.
Yeah.
They can. Actually, they do to me all the time. But anyway. Anyway, what am I saying? Yes, good morning to Grail. We'd like to also say good morning to Chris, who is whispering in the background. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Hello, everyone.
I was talking to my grandson Reese this morning, and I was saying to him we need a little bit of a, because he said, oh, I've got lots of stories. Well, he was talking about stories about the puppy. He was telling stories about him at school. I said,
Easter.
no, they have to be an Easter egg hunt. And I said, no, they have to be sort of a little bit spooky, not necessarily scary, but they have to reflect what I do, what I'm all about. And what did he say? He said, but it's not Halloween. Anyway, so, all right. Is this an apparition that you are seeing, or is it, in fact, is there anybody there?
Am I real?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, actually, see, when I when I'm talking to people in the spirit world, I can feel them and hear them and do anything. So how do we know whether you are from the spirit world or whether you are here from Canada? This is my friend Karen. We've already been laughing this morning. We've been laughing with Chris this morning. I will tell you very briefly a funny story. I said to Chris this morning, because Chris is sort of, when she talks, she's a little bit echoey. So I said to her, are you in an empty room, Chris? And she said, yes. And Karen said, how do you know? I can't see her peering in. And I said, no, I can see her. She said, well, I can't see her on the screen. I said, no, I can see her. You'd forgotten, haven't you? You'd totally forgotten that I'm psychic.
No.
For that one moment in time, you'd forgotten, because you were peering at the screen saying to me, well, where is she? Because I can't see it. Anyway. Oh my, anyway.
Never forget.
All right. Now this is going downhill pretty fast. So let's bring it right back up. So this is Karen, and Karen, you flew in from Canada yesterday, right? Do you want to tell us?
Hi, everyone. What am I going to say? You want to tell us what?
She's very friendly, as you can see. She never stops talking. Which part of Canada? Because Canada's not a small place, is it? Well, it's not big, but it's not small. So whereabouts in Canada did you fly in from?
From Toronto.
From Toronto. And you used to live in Toronto for years and years, didn't you?
No, I live in a suburb of Toronto called Burlington, just outside. About 45-minute drive out.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so here she is, a city girl, and my dad, right?
Mm.
And a city girl, if you can
Sort
call
of.
Toronto a city. No offense to Canadians.
Toronto,
I
yeah,
am
but-
just teasing. Karen.
OMG.
I'm gradually moving out of the city.
I'm just teasing Karen, everybody, because let me tell you, Toronto is one of my favorite places, and Canadian people are, of course, really, really friendly, aren't they? They really are nice
Yeah.
people, right? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
serious.
yeah.
They're really
Yeah.
nice, really nice people, as opposed to. Let me just get it. All right, we've got to get a grip here.
Yeah.
So, Chris, before we go any further, is there anybody there?
Yes, we have people in the chat room. Everyone's saying hello to you and to Karen and to Toronto.
Well, good, good. Maybe we have one or two people also
gonna
listening
say.
in from Toronto or from Canada. Maybe they'd tell us who they are as we go along with the show. So, all right, it is May the 14th. It is Saturday morning and it is story time. So I know that people sort of, take their time coming in and out, but I thought we'd get the story over with fairly quickly. Not over and done with, but I'd start the story. And that'll give us more time then for the chat room, and it'll give us more time for comments and questions. So if everybody out there, you have a comment or a question or anything that's going on, we do like comments on the stories, and we do like comments about some of the issues that are brought up with the stories also. So we'd love to hear those comments too. Anyway, let's get to it. So, once upon a time, as all good stories must begin. Are we ready, Chris?
We are ready.
There was a lady, her name was Mary Jane, and she came to see me for a consultation. During the course of the consultation, I asked, the beginning of the consultation, sorry, Karen, I'm going to wriggle about a bit
That's
here,
okay.
sorry. During the course at the beginning of the consultation, I always explain to people, look, there are no guarantees with this. I'm not going to guarantee that I can manage to speak to your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can guarantee that I'll do my very best. That's one little part of what I say. And then, of course, I will say to people, is there anyone special or specific that you would like to talk to? Because we only have a certain amount of time in a consultation, and I know that generally there's an awful lot to be said. There's an awful lot that we have to deal with. We have to deal with the concerns and the questions of the people who are the clients who have called to have the consult or have come to have the consult. So if I know specifically who they'd like to talk to, it sort of, in a way, sorry, I've got pins and needles in my leg. Sorry, this is not going too well, this story. But anyway, so if I know some specific people, I can look for them. Not that I'm guaranteed that I'll find them, and you never know who else is going to pop in. But if I ask anyone specific, and I don't want details, you don't just, mother, father, brother, sister, whoever it is, just, if you just tell me specifically, and then I can, with Greg Eagle's help, I can look for those people and give them a chance to connect. So Mary Jane said to me, yes, I'd like to talk to my mother and father, and I'd also like to talk to my son. And of course, I knew immediately that the consultation was much more about her son than anyone else. And as I usually do, looking for them, I saw them all. I was able to connect with them. And then I hear this young man who says to me quite clearly, my name is Andrew. And so I said to Mary Jane, I have Andrew here. And she was overjoyed. She gasped. She had a few tears. That's my son. And then Andrew proceeded to tell me, he said, they think that I've taken my own life. And in a way, they would be right, Rosemary, but it's much more than that. It's much bigger than that. It's so much more than that. So I asked Andrew if he could explain so that his mom and his family would understand exactly what happened. So he was describing his situation, and he was describing those, let's say, those moments, or it might have been an hour or something prior to his passing. And he said, I heard God calling my voice. And he said, I knew God was calling me, and he was calling me home. And he kept saying to me, Andrew, it's time. Andrew, it's time, and we need you home now. It is your time. So even though people think that I perhaps took my own life or was responsible in some way for my passing, in a way you could say that that was right. But when you hear God call your name, Rosemary, he said you don't, you go. You don't have a choice, and it's really easy, and it's made very easy for you. And he said, my passing was simple and easy. I was lifted. I was taken gently and carefully by my angels. And I was happy with that because I knew that it was my time. God told me that it was my time to come to him. And so here I am. As I'm explaining all of this to Mary Jane, of course, she was so thrilled. She said, so my son didn't take his own life. He didn't decide to leave us. It didn't leave us behind deliberately then. So I said, well, apparently, according to your son, absolutely not. She was so relieved and so excited, and also crying a lot, because as you can imagine, it was such a relief to her. But now here's the thing. Why would we believe that? I mean, people might think, oh, well, you were just being nice to Mary Jane. You were just telling her what she wanted to hear. Well, you see, just because I talk to people in the spirit world doesn't mean that I let them off the hook. When I'm talking to people in the spirit world, I like them to tell me all about themselves. Of course, I like them to explain how they passed. It's an important little piece of evidence that their family needs to understand who it is we're talking about. But don't think then that's it, because it isn't. Because then I'm pushing and I'm asking Andrew in this particular case, all right, you now need to tell me more, because I want more from you. I want not just the stuff that happened to you prior to your passing. I don't want just the stuff that centers around you and your story, Andrew. I would love it if you could tell me what you see your family is up to, what you can tell me about them, what you have seen and what you've observed since you passed into the spirit world. And Andrew was ready and raring to go with glee. He began. He wanted to talk about his sister and the fact that she was getting married, and his mother said, yes, that was right. Of course, she confirmed it. But then Andrew was chuckling, oh dear, what a mess it was yesterday. And Mary Jane is sort of looking at me, and I said, well, I understand that the dress didn't fit. And Mary Jane gasped, how do you know that? Of course, is the question that lots of people ask. Well, Andrew said, because I was there when it didn't fit her. And now she's only got 2 weeks to go for the wedding. And now she's got to go back to the dressmaker and have the dress altered, because when the dress came, it just didn't fit. A little piece of evidence, a little thing that happened only the day before. It shows us that Andrew certainly did not die. He went on a journey. He's in another place, but still able to be with his family, still able to be a part of his family. And he went on to tell us how when his sister walked down the aisle in 2 weeks' time, with the dress being fixed, of course, when Andrew walked down the aisle, that he would be walking alongside her. And then when she joined with her husband, that Andrew, he said to his mom, I'm going to be sitting next to you, and we're both going to be listening together when she says her vows, because I just want to be with you, Mom, when she says her vows and when she gets married. Wow, what an amazing thing. A mother has lost her son. The trauma of losing a child has to be the worst. For me, certainly, it seems to be the worst and the most cruel thing that could happen to any of us. To lose a child has to be the most devastating thing. But then to be shown, wow, he saw that her wedding dress didn't fit. He knows she's going to the dressmaker, and wow, he knows she's getting married in 2 weeks, and he's going to walk down the aisle. Can you imagine that would be?
So what this means is Rosemary got a call. She's bumped off. She'll be right back in, folks. So just stay tuned. She'll be right back. I see you, Chris, that you're saying you're here from Toronto. So welcome.
Sorry, Chris.
That's all right.
Have you got me now? Are we good?
You're on. You're good.
So, so where was I? So, how amazing that, you know, he could see all of this, and how amazing for her as a mother. But then you see, and because I'm such a pushy person, and I am, and I do hold those in the spirit world to a very high standard, because if you're going to talk to me through me and you want to talk to your family, you better come up with the goods, is basically what I'm saying. And I say it in a nice way. And I know that those in the spirit world want to come up with the goods, which means that I better do my job. I better listen more carefully. I better be more aware of what's going on. I better pay attention to what's going on. So I looked at Andrew, because I knew that we weren't finished yet. And then Andrew, of course, said to me, and now I want to talk about my other sister who just had the baby. And Mary Jane was again astounded, but by this time sort of getting used to the idea and laughing. And then I said, now Andrew tells me the baby's name is Andrew and named after me. And she nodded and she said, that's exactly right. And Andrew said, well, could you please, as baby Andrew grows and gets older, could you please let him know that his uncle Andrew is his angel. I'll be right by his side every step of the way. I will watch him through his life. I will take care of him through his life. And could you please, please give him a kiss from me? Wow. So now here is Mary Jane. Not only has her son told her about her daughter, the wedding dress that doesn't fit, the wedding that's coming up in 2 weeks. Not only is she reassured Mary Jane that he will be there at the wedding, first of all walking his sister down the aisle and then sitting with his mother while she says her vows. Not only that, but now the baby Andrew. So he not only knows that there was a baby, he knows the baby's a boy, he knows the baby's named after him. What more can he say to show? What more can I say to all of you to show you? Life continues. We do not die. We see, we hear, we are still a part of our family. We are part of such a loving and a wonderful family. And, you know, those in the spirit world just want us to know that they are not gone. They're simply not gone. They're just, and we've been whispering and having fun today, but they are, as Karen's mum, as she's standing between the two of us, sorry, but you knew she was going to come. As Karen's mum and dad are here with us today, and your mum is saying, we're just a whisper away.
That's what I'm talking.
That's right. Maybe so. So, the end.
Oh.
How are we doing, Chris?
Great. Cheryl says this story reminds me of a movie I watched last night. The
Oh.
Girl Who Believed in Miracles.
Oh.
All right.
Have you seen that?
Don't know if I have. I might have. We'll check it out
Yeah.
later. Karen and I are big movie watchers, so we'll check it out.
Well, it's funny. I'm down visiting my youngest son, and my oldest son rode with me. It's a 10-hour drive. And this morning we were all just sitting together out on their porch. And, you know, I believe in this stuff. The youngest one, he'll take it with a grain of salt. The oldest one doesn't believe at all. So, out of the blue, the youngest, Calvin, says to me, and he's talking to his wife, Erin, he goes, well, you know, Mom, something strange happened yesterday. I'm like, what's that? And he said, well, we were coming back in the house with, you know, groceries or whatever they were carrying in. And we have a framed picture of Dad on the mantelpiece. And we walked in the door, as we have a million times before. All of a sudden, his framed picture fell down.
Oh, no.
Oops.
And they're like looking around to see if there's wind or there's just any excuse whatsoever as to why this picture fell down, and they couldn't come up with one.
Right. Was there a little earth tremor? Did anything else move? Was anything else on the mantelpiece disturbed? And it's so easy for us. In a way, we don't want things like that to happen. I know all of you say, well, I would love it to happen. There are a lot of people who don't want it to happen because when that sort of thing happens, maybe they might have to change their mind, or maybe they might have to accept that perhaps, you know, there are things that happen that have no, let's say, normal explanation. So I can imagine Matthew saying I imagine him not poo-pooing it or saying, oh, you know, no. But how did your sons take that piece of information?
Actually, Matt didn't say anything. He just listened to the two.
Right.
And they were just looking at each other, like literally trying to come up with a reason as to why that would or could have fallen. And they could come up with none. So they're just in that stage where, you know, they're going to need some big proof to change their mind.
Well,
but
I'm sure that Mike will be absolutely ready and up for the challenge, Chris. Just give it time.
I was just laughing though, because like I believe just as you say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Annika says she loves the story that you just shared. And Mark says, thank you for sharing this story. Tears fall from my face as I do believe my brother Bobby and my other brother is always near me. Maggie's asking, did you ever check out Donovan's Reef with John Wayne, Lee Marvin, and Dorothy Lamour? That must be a movie.
I did, but it's ages ago. We'll have to check it out again. It's ages and ages ago, and I can't really remember. But of course, I'm a big John Wayne fan. People don't know that about me. Did you know that about me? I like John Wayne. I like his older movies, sort of. Well, I like all of his movies, actually. But you know, we just movie buffs, aren't we? We just started watching. We actually thought, because I made dim sum yesterday. We had some little, for dinner, we had some little things, dumplings and pot stickers and all of that sort of thing. We had little buffet, didn't we, of that? So we decided we'd watch a movie with that last night. Spring rolls, yeah. And where was I going with this? So we were looking for a movie. So we thought we'd put this movie on. What was it called, Karen?
Lincoln Lawyer.
The Lincoln Lawyer, with Matthew McConaughey. And it's a great movie. So we'd both seen it, but ages ago. So we'd say, okay, while we're eating, we'll watch this movie. Well, actually, it turned out, was it Netflix? Turned out it was on Netflix, and it wasn't a movie at all. It's a new series. It is a brand new series, but taken from Is it Michael Connolly or John Connolly? Both of well,
Yeah,
I
Michael
read both of them, but it's from Michael Connolly's book,
I don't know.
The Lincoln Lawyer, and it's a great series. So we sat and ate dim sum in lovely soy and ginger. I didn't realize I ate most of the soy and ginger because I didn't realize that there was only one little pot of that. It's your fault. You should put it in two pots. Anyway, and we watched the series. We were still watching the series 2 hours later, and then 3 hours later because it was such a good series. But we've not finished it yet. But anyway, sorry, Chris. We are side tracking. This is what happens when you have guests come to stay. Yeah, absolutely. So totally can't.
Karen, should we give you a minute for a retort here?
No.
Okay. No. Excuse me. Who's in control of this?
I'm just watching Karen's face.
Are.
That's all.
No.
All right. So, AVJ says it's amazing reading, Rosemary. You are the best.
Oh, darling, thank you so much. That story actually came out of A Matter of Life and Death. So if you haven't read A Matter of Life and Death yet, everybody, although I did have, there is a story in A Matter of Life and Death, which is, as all my stories are, it's a true story. It actually happened here in Florida. It actually happened in Orlando, and it happened with friends of mine who live in Orlando. But it's not necessarily a nice story because it does talk about evil. It talks about evil entities, and it tells a story of something that happened that was really a horrific story with a fantastic and amazing and wonderful end, I just might say. But some people might find that story a little bit hard to take, and I did have a lovely lady who wrote to me and said, I love your books. I've always loved your books. They've always made me feel good. How could you write this awful story? So she was obviously disappointed in me. But the reason I wrote this story, this particular story, is first of all, I was there. It was my experience. And I'm assuming that most people would like to know, good or bad, the experiences that I do have. And second of all, I think it's very important that we know, I mean, we all know, don't we, that there are people about who do bad things. There are murderers and thieves and vagabonds and all of that stuff. We know that. We know that there's evil in the world, and we know that there are evil doers in the world. So by telling the story, it sort of highlights that side of life, but it also, if you read it through and you read it carefully and you're not put off by the middle of it, and you get to the end of it, you'll know what happens to good people and beautiful people who are not, do not have evil intentions, people who are, no matter what happens, no matter what bad thing happens to us, our angels are waiting for us at the end of all of this. And you know, even though this world of ours, this earth of ours, these experiences, especially if we're going through a horrible time, a traumatic time, it seems to last forever, doesn't it? But in the scheme of things, in the universal scheme of things, you know, these things that seem to us to be ongoing and lasting for ages and ages and ages, they're, in the scheme of things, only a blink of an eye. And so I think that sometimes the stories are wonderful and good, like the story I just told you is so good. I think it's so important because I always say to people, you can't die before your time. And this story with Mary Jane and her son Andrew, this story tells us quite clearly, no, I didn't do this deliberately, but when your name is called, you got to go. And it's a little bit like stepping on a train. Once you step on the train, the journey takes you somewhere else, somewhere that you perhaps haven't been before, but it takes you on new adventures. And so, so many people who take their own lives, they have had that same experience. And I've heard that story so many times. But Rosemary, I heard my name called. And that's it's something really pretty neat about that.
I remember you had an event in Maine years ago, and there was what we would all label a tragic accident with a young man, a dad, who was riding his snowmobile and he crashed into a tree.
Oh gosh, yes.
Do you
Oh,
remember that one?
Yeah. Shall we tell that one next week?
I
Can you
was
write,
just gonna, yeah, I can.
write it down for me? I'm afraid we're going to put you all in suspenders here.
All right, so let's see. Lorraine is
So
asking.
those of you who are not British, I'm going to leave you in suspense. For those of you who are British, we're going to leave you in suspenders. Why not?
Lorraine is asking, what is the medical reason for Andrew's passing?
An overdose of some kind. So, but you know, I do have a lot of people who, you know, people think that they may have taken their own life, but they'll say no. It was my own stupid fault. I took too much of this, or I wasn't thinking properly, or I got involved with these friends. There was no actual intention of taking my life, except that God's intention goes above and beyond all the rest. And if it is God's intention that it is our time, that's the end of that. We have to go.
Cheryl says, I was at a wake at a friend's house. The basement door we were standing next to began to open. I knew she was there, but no one else noticed it.
Oh, nice. Spooky. I love that stuff.
Kim is saying, yes, it's a beautiful story and thanks. And Caroline saying, thanks for sharing the beautiful story and love.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. We're so glad that you're here and watching. And if anyone out there has a question for Karen, by the way, because Karen's been my student for, go on, Karen.
Ooh, for about 22 years.
Right.
21, 22
Right.
years.
Is it safe to say, Karen?
Uh-oh.
Is it safe to say that you were a groupie?
No. You call me a groupie all the time.
But that's because you are, because everywhere we went, you were there. Every event that I did, no matter where and can't remember, Karen is from Canada, but she'd find a way into the US.
No,
and I'd be sitting with my group in the bar, and all of a sudden this little face would pop up. Hi, it's me.
I was looking for a teacher. You just happened to be the one.
But you would. But wait a minute. But you were following around. Be honest. You followed me.
A really good teacher.
See, she followed me, folks. She's a groupie.
That's a good story, actually. That's quite an interesting story. If you feel comfortable with me telling a story.
Go ahead.
Not today.
Knock
Not
yourself
today.
out. Yes.
No. It's a little bit of a long story. Not today.
When are you going to tell the story then?
I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll do an off the cuff in the week
sometime.
We've got time for the story. It depends how long you take.
It's a little too long.
All right. Well, we'll do an off the cuff, and you can tell the story then. Are you talking about the story of how we met and how you were a groupie and followed me from town to town,
how I
city
met
to city?
you the first time, which maybe was kind of groupie-ish.
She's a groupie, and I love it. And I love Karen. So you know,
and when I decide I really want to go for something,
you go for it. Yeah,
I make it happen.
Anyway, go on, Chris. Keep going.
Yeah. So Rhonda says, you've taught me, Rosemary, to watch for signs from our loved ones, big or small signs. I was staring up at the stars a couple of nights ago, talking to my dad, when a very large hawk flew across the sky. Ooh. I smiled, knowing it was a hello from my dad.
Yes, how nice. Oh, love that story. Love it. Yes. Keep going.
Mary says, when you describe spirit to people, you sometimes say that there are twinkles in their eyes. Why do their eyes twinkle?
Well, why wouldn't they? It depends on your sense of humor, or it depends, if you've got someone. I mean, look, when I'm laughing, my eyes twinkle. I know this because people tell me this all the time, right? My eyes twinkle when I'm laughing. Or
Yes.
my eyes are very expressive. And if I'm up to mischief, you can tell. If you look and you know me well enough, you can tell my eyes start to sparkle a little bit with my mischief. And it's the same with people in the spirit world. Sometimes they come and they've got such a great sense of humor and their eyes are twinkling. They're having a great time. So it's not applicable to every person. Same as it's not applicable to every person here on this earth. There's people who don't have a sense of humor at all. There are people who have such a dry sense of humor and you cannot tell by their faces at all whether they're being funny or not. And there's no expression there whatsoever, but they're having fun. So it's just, who you are and how expressive you are.
Dean is saying, just got here. Nice to see Karen visiting. Bet the food and drink is flowing.
Dim sum yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And, today we're going to be making possibly a chocolate torte. Rack of lamb, because we're having a dinner party tomorrow afternoon, as a matter of fact, and so we'll be cooking, and hopefully Karen's going to be filming it, or Chris is going to be filming it. We're going to be doing a little bit of filming anyway in Rosemary's kitchen tomorrow, so that's what we're going to be doing.
Let's see.
We're going to be tasting as well. We're also going to be tasting and drinking.
Linda says, I'm helping a friend spread his wife's ashes today at a beach in Sarasota.
Oh,
Just went to make sure his wife is okay with this. Her name is Judith. Thank you as always.
listen, darling, it would have been much better if you'd have invited us. We could have come along, couldn't we? Sarasota Beach is just up the road here. Just please have absolute fun. I'm asking Great Eagle, does he have anything to say? And he's nodding furiously, and you really should have invited us. We'd have come, wouldn't we, Karen?
Mm-hmm.
We would have definitely come. But anyway, are you doing the right thing? Without a doubt. Oh, little bit of advice from the lady herself. The wind might be blowing it back in your face today, so watch the wind today. There. Chris.
Kim says, seeing Rosemary in 1995 on the local lunchtime news in Colorado Springs initiated my spiritual awakening.
Oh, wow.
And I've been on this journey since then. So thank you, Rosemary.
Oh, my darling, thank you so very much. That's so nice of you. Let me tell you a funny story about time. So I had a lovely lady who had a consultation with me just this week. And one of the first things she said to me was, Rosemary, it's been 29 years. It's been 29 years since I've spoken to you. And of course, my question would be, why did you wait so long between sessions? 29 years between sessions is a long time. And she looked at me, she said, well, the money. I said, you don't think in 29 years you could have saved more? I mean, if you save, you could see me once a year. It's just a few dollars a week in your savings and so on. And we were laughing about it. So at the end of her session, I am very pleased to say that she thought, after waiting for 29 years to do this again, she thought it was well worth it. So there you have it. And I also have to say, thinking about this, 29 years ago, I wasn't charging what I'm charging now. Of course, she could have afforded it. Yes, of course. Anyway, moving on, Chris.
Cheryl's asking Karen, do you have native blood?
Oh. I'm thinking about that because I do tend to go towards a lot of native issues, and I love
Do you
going to
have native?
powwows,
Do you
but I
have
don't
native
think I
blood?
have any blood that I know of ancestrally. Most of it is British. Sorry.
The answer is
That
no.
I
She,
know of.
no, she doesn't. But you are
Going further
inclined.
back.
You are inclined, aren't you, towards
Very much so.
the native culture and the native communities
Yeah.
that are around.
Like
You
even
go
when I
to- you
studied
go
in
to-
university,
yeah,
it
you
was
go to-
around
yeah.
native.
And you go to every powwow
Issues.
you possibly can go to. And
Yeah.
So on.
Have for a long time, even before I met Rosemary.
Yeah. But knowing your mom and your dad is saying no. So how about that? Then? Can you ask Karen's dad? He would have given you a much quicker, simpler answer. You know,
Lorraine's saying, my daughter's fiance from years ago had taken his life. Knowing it was his time makes it less awful for all.
yes, I
He
think so.
he recently came in her dream and touched her shoulder and said he was okay.
Oh, how nice is that? That's so nice. Yes, I mean, one of the worst things about, there are so many different ways that people can pass into the spirit world, so many different ways to die, aren't there? But I think that, suicide, knowing that someone's taken their own life, can leave us with so much guilt and so much. And the story that I told with Mary Jane, one of the things that she said, during our session was that she could now let go of the guilt. She now understood what was going on. She could now let go of the guilt and all of the if onlys, So and I think it is important for us all to know that we don't, no matter what, no matter how we die, we don't die before our time. Keep going, Chris.
Mark says there has always been this poo-poo about the negatives of suicide. Your explanation gives many peace and consolation. My friend Mary Lou did so many years with a gun, and I sensed her say, God, I'm sorry. Still call upon her, and it's been since 2003.
Oh, wow. Thanks for sharing, Mark. We appreciate it. I was going to say something else then, but it's gone out of my head, as things do around Karen. She's a bit ditzy. If you don't know what I mean, my daughter, when my daughter was a kid at school, they had this saying, and my daughter would, how would she say? She'd say, my hair's curly, is yours? And then she'd point to the person that she meant was anyway. Karen is she's not crazy, but she's slightly ditzy, aren't you? You'll admit to that. Apparently not. Keep going, Chris.
I'm very
Annika says this Thursday,
Right. Yes.
I was showing my friend Jill photos of the time Neil and I went to the botanical gardens in Atlanta.
All right.
A few times Neil's picture popped up, unrelated to the flower pics. Jill immediately remarked, he is here with us, sitting on the porch of the Red Lion Inn.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Lovely. Thanks for sharing.
Let's see. I've got to pass over a couple of chats because they're between people who are here in the chat room. All right, Kim has a question for you, Rosemary.
Got it. Go on.
Do you think we need our guides at the time of death or just angels and family? I'm wondering because I have thought our guides are so close they are part of us. Thank you.
Okay, we're back to the spirit guide thing again. A spirit guide is a highly evolved spiritual entity who, generally speaking, only works with those of us who work on a full-time basis, like myself. When I pass into the spirit world, I'm pretty sure, he has his hand on my shoulder as I'm saying this, I'm pretty sure that Gregor is going to be there with me and helping me and, helping me to cross, because why wouldn't he? Because he's helped me all of my life. Most people, the majority of people, 99% of the population, I'm going to say, do not have spirit guides. They have their loved ones in the spirit world, their family and their friends who guide them and to steer them. They have their angels who also do their very best to take care of us and protect us. My experience is that there are always angels with us at that time when we are moving on and going forward with our journey. There are always our angels there to carry us, to help us to reach our destination safely, to take us into the light. There are always our family waiting, and sometimes, you know, we have a family member or a loved one in the spirit world who will reach a hand out and literally pull us over that void. They're so eager to see us. They're sort of, you know, impatient and waiting for us. But most people do not have. I know that I am. Sometimes people don't listen to me when I say this. Everybody wants a spirit guide. Everybody thinks they've got a spirit guide. Let me reiterate, the spirit guide is a highly evolved spiritual entity. Expecting that we've all got a spirit guide is like saying, okay, let me think, the New York hospital, right? The head of the hospital, or any hospital anywhere in the world, thinking about it, the head of the hospital is going to walk around all day, every day, with a little first year nurse, or even a nurse who's been on the ward for, you know, just a few months or something. They're going to walk around and spend their time and their energy and their knowledge with that nurse. Why would they do that? I want, you know, this is a fascinating subject. Miracles abound everywhere. We don't need to make it more special. We don't need to make it more of anything, because it is way beyond our understanding, way more special than we can possibly imagine. No, nobody who is not working full time in the spiritual realm, no person, as far as I am aware, and I've done this for a lot of years, has a spiritual guide as Gradle is my guide. It just doesn't happen. It's like expecting the head of New York hospital to walk around with a first year nurse 24/7. I mean, really, is it realistic? You know, so let's keep our feet on the ground with this, can we?
So in some of your social media, I was reading, Rosemary, there was a thread where people talked about the ways in which our loved ones can reach out to us here on this side. And
Yes.
there were a couple of people who are like, oh no, electricity's too hard, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe you can explain to everyone here that will be listening, what are the different ways that we can look for signs and understand that our loved ones are reaching out to us?
Well, everything is energy. Everything is about energy. Electricity is just one form of energy. I don't understand that comment about electricity is too hard, because no, electricity is simply energy. Lightning in the sky is simply energy. The clouds going through the sky is simply energy. My voice, as I'm talking to you, is on a certain vibrational level. We connect with the energy of those around us, and we, even as we're thinking of our loved ones in the spirit world, we are connecting with their vibrational energy. So when we are thinking of them, connecting with them, we are on their vibrational level, which is often when, you know, we get those signs. And let me see, I can tell you the signs that I get easily. So if I see a large bird, for instance, or actually even a small brown bird, when I think about it, birds are very much involved in my seeing and understanding. Feathers are another thing. A lot of people have pennies. I love when butterflies come around, especially when they're not in season or they're a bit too early. And you think it's too cold for a butterfly. What's that doing there? There are lots of different signs, and what we have to do is, if we want to connect with our loved ones, if we want to be aware of them, if we want to see those signs, what we have to do is to understand every single leaf, every tree, every living thing no matter how tiny it is, no matter how large it is, every living thing is a powerhouse of energy, vibration. And that level of energy, that level of vibration, as we're going around and we're trying to listen to our loved ones or we're trying to connect with them in some way, it's all about reaching out and connecting our vibration with theirs. And we do it better with the ones that we love and that we know, because that's an automatic vibration. My grandson will often call me and say, "Are you okay, Mosey?" Because he's in tune. We are attuned to each other. And he'll know if I'm upset about something, or he'll know if something's going on. So it's all about vibrational levels of energy, and there are lots of different ways that energy shows itself: thunder, lightning, winds, the breeze, the sun, you name it. I mean, we can go on and on and on. I do have to tell you a little story about my grandson, because he's going at school. They're wanting to write a fairy tale. So he was talking to us yesterday, and he was talking to me about what kind of a fairy tale we could create. And I was telling him maybe we could have an underground magical place with a magic lagoon. And I said to him, and I was explaining what a lagoon is. And I said, maybe we can when people go into the lagoon, they become young again, or they become healthy and well again. And he said, so if you went into the lagoon, Mosey, he said, if you went into the lagoon, that could mean that your kidney would be healed, wouldn't it?
Aww.
He breaks my heart. He anyway.
That's
Vibrational levels of understanding. Go, Chris, keep going.
Judith says a month or so after my sister passed over, she visited me here at home. I was sitting on the side of the bed and she joined me. She was radiant and smiling and beautiful. She
Lovely.
wanted me to know her joy.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It happens more often than you would think. And people often think they're dreaming it when that happens, but you weren't dreaming, don't you? You know that was a real visit. You know that, don't you? I'm sure. I had a student many years ago where she was in bed and she felt the bed depressed, as if someone was sitting on the bed. And she'd lost her husband a while before, so she was on her own, and she felt the bed go down. And she peeked over the covers and she saw a lady sitting on the bed. So she immediately put the blankets over herself, and she's trembling. And as she's trembling, she's thinking, what would Rosemary do? What would Rosemary do? And so, doing what she thought I would do, she came out from under the blankets and very tentatively said to this lady, "Hello, who are you? What can I do for you?" She didn't know her, but the lady knew her, and they were able to have a conversation. And she was so proud that the next meeting she came to, she said to me, she told me the story, and she said, "Rosemary, I did exactly what you would do." And I'm thinking to myself, but would I have, or would I have stayed under the bed covers? Because there were times in my youth and my childhood when I really did hide under the bed covers and tremble. But yes, people from the spirit world, they come to visit us all the time. We just have to be vibrationally aware. Chris.
So Kim responded to your answer saying, "Thank you. As a hospice nurse, I see the family and angels in spirit at the bedside. I've
Yay.
never seen a guide at the bedside, so that makes sense."
Good. Oh, yes. Well, I'm so glad I was able to, get you to understand how this, or a little bit about how this works. But it seems to me that you're an angel too, aren't you? Aren't you doing an angel's work? Are you an angel in training? Wow. Just imagine how lovely. What a lovely job you have.
Maggie says, "I'd feel so bad if I had a spirit guide because I'm already driving those who watch over me to drink."
Yes, right. Well, Maggie, you're so funny. Okay, keep going.
Lorraine says, happy birthday, Rosemary. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for adding so positively to so many of us, connecting us to this fascinating, wonderful spirit world. It's comforting.
Isn't it fascinating and wonderful, though? Isn't it just? And thank you for my birthday wishes. I shall be on air on my birthday. It'll be all about me. It'll be about me, and more about me, right? Karen, we're going to make the whole day about me.
Oh,
Me,
we might need to get a crown.
A crown?
A birthday crown. I should have brought one.
Oh,
I
you
don't
mean?
need a crown.
Wait a minute. You
I mean,
mean
a
I could
birthday
have borrowed yours?
Oh, we'll go get you. We'll go
Anyway,
get you your own.
we will be here on Thursday morning with the Spirit World Sees All, and so you can share with me my birthday. And remember, if you want me to give a shout out to anyone you know for happy birthday wishes, email Chris at rosemaryaltea.com. Right, Chris? I've got that right.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it is Chris, Kris at rosemaryaltea.com, or you can just write to me because Chris answers all the emails anyway. And if you have a request to wish someone a happy birthday, we can include them in that request, because I shall on Thursday morning, believe you me, I'll be singing happy birthday to me as well as everybody else. Why not? Right?
Sure.
We have fun, yes.
We'll sing it.
Chris.
Well, Rosemary, we're right about at time.
Okay.
And there aren't any more questions or comments.
Then that looks to be it for today then, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great story time. I loved that story. I really do like that story. And I'm sure that Andrew is still with his mummy, Mary Jane. I'm sure he's still a part of the family, as I know that all of your loved ones in the spirit world are a part of your family still. So I'd like to say thanks to Chris. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thank you to Karen. Do you want to say bye-bye? Say bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice Saturday.
See you Thursday.
Oh,
if
no,
not,
Monday. Do you do Monday?
oh, maybe so.
Do you do
Oh,
healing
yes.
on Monday?
Anyway, oh,
No, it's the
No?
following Monday for the healing.
Oh, okay.
no,
So I'll
but
see you, everybody.
we're
Thursday on your
we're
birthday.
going to be doing some off the
What
cuff
am I
stuff,
doing?
and we're going to be doing, of course, Thursday will be joining us, hopefully. So I'd like to also, I'd like to also,
That was my fault.
it was your fault.
I got
I'd
everybody
also
wrong.
like to say thank you to Grey Eagle, not forgetting, most importantly, I'd like to say thanks to Grey Eagle. Thank you once again to all of you. Until I see you all again, please have a very blessed rest of the weekend, everybody. Have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend. Bye-bye.